Hey everyone, Alien Theory here. I lost my voice for a little bit, but I think we're all good now, and I'm back with another Xenobucket draw/update/Q&A video today. We've a lot to get to, and some catching up to do. I'm going to be doing a draw, actually 3 draws, for the Patreon Hive prize. So there's 3 copies of Alex White's Alien the Cold Forge to be won. I'm going to be doing a draw at the end of the video, but first an announcement. Aside from this Q&A, I get questions all the time from fans of the Alien series who haven't really gotten into the comics, or they want to introduce a friend or family member or significant other to the comics, and the persistent question is always, what's the best place to start? What are the key comics out there that I should be checking out? Well, Dark Horse Comics literally just released a fantastic collection, Aliens The Essential Comics, Volume 1. I would definitely recommend seeking it out. It's the very first Aliens comics, it's the Earth War storyline, as I've been covering on the channel, and it is unaltered, unlike the Aliens Omnibus collections, which has all the changes and missing portions, and it just isn't the true, originally intended version of the story. The version of Outbreak, however, is not the original black and white, it is the recolored version, so if you're an absolute purist, that may be an issue. So basically this collection, it may as well be called the Earth War Trilogy, because that's what you would be getting. And this is actually a pretty significant release, because this is literally the first time in 30 plus years since being first published that the Earth War storyline has been combined into a collection that features all 3 parts together in one collection, unedited story-wise. You can get Part 1, Outbreak, separately. It is a beautiful hardcover release. You get Parts 2 and 3, Nightmare Asylum and Earth War, in a nice collection, also hardcover. You can get the Omnibus, which has all 3 parts together, along with other stuff, but they're the altered versions. So Aliens, The Essential Comics, Volume 1, offers the story in its entirety, all in one collection, for the first time ever. And yeah, I know, it's probably starting to sound like a paid sponsorship video or something, and Christmas is right around the corner, but I just thought this release was a good time to address the question. So if you want a good place to start, if you want the essentials, Dark Horse pretty much has got it covered with this one. I'm sure it's available where these kinds of books are sold, local comic book stores, also available digital, which I'm starting to prefer personally. I've been pretty much upgrading my entire collection digitally, so I love having them just ready and available on my phone, tablet, computer, what have you, but that's just me. Anyway, on to the Q&A. I'm doing a Q&A for this video, and I did want to try something different, so I asked you for your questions on the community post section of YouTube, and wow. I got a lot of questions, and thank you all so much for taking the time to ask, and I think it was a pretty good way to arrange the Q&A, so that might be the best way to do it moving forward. I tend to ramble on in my answers quite a bit, so I do apologize if your question goes unanswered, but I have quite a few here that I would like to go through today, and I hope you enjoy. Egg641 writes, have you explored the Alien Covenant Origins story? Apparently it's canon, and I just heard about it yesterday. Yes, Alien Covenant Origins by the great Alan Dean Foster. I explored it a little bit. I have a video about the YUTANI merger that takes place in the wake of Peter Weyland's death, and how the company finally became WEYLAND-YUTANI. That's really only a peripheral element of the book, but I have to admit it's just hard to do videos without visuals, so I haven't covered too much, but I'd like to go back to it because it does have some interesting stuff. I think more people would probably have been aware of the book if they handled the release differently. It was actually released a few months after Alien Covenant came out, and instead of before, the end of September, I think, a good 5 months after the movie was out, so it's not like there was much hype after that, but it's worth checking out. Foster has been writing brilliant adaptations of the Alien films since the very first one in 1979, going on to adapt Aliens and Alien 3, then returning for Alien Covenant, and now his own original story. That's pretty amazing. So an original Alien Universe story written by Alan Dean Foster is a dream come true, and while it isn't a perfect story, while the universe of Prometheus and Covenant may not be everyone's cup of tea, I think this is a good expansion of the Covenant story, and it lets us know what's at stake with this mission, and I think the foundation of the story only strengthens the story of Alien Covenant, so even if you have even the littlest, tiniest bit of appreciation for Alien Covenant, I think the Origins prequel novel is worth a look. Speaking of novelizations, Dan McCarthy writes, why was there no Prometheus novelization? That is a very good question, and I've often wondered that myself, though there is actually a novelization of Prometheus, but it was only released in Japan. The reason for this, I have no idea, but I've always been curious about it, so I was definitely interested to hear that the YUTANI blog is working on a project to adapt the novelization into English, proper translation. So check out the YUTANI blog for more information on that, but it still seems to be a mystery to me. Chief Walker writes, do you believe Disney, when the 20th Century Fox merger is done, will revisit the franchise? I'm pretty confident they will. I'll repeat Ridley Scott's sentiments from that interview where he was asked something similar. He said they'd be crazy not to, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. How they'll revisit it is another story, but personally I think reports saying, Disney plans to scrap everything R-rated and just pursue family-friendly material, I think those kinds of reports are jumping the gun a little bit, causing unneeded alarm. There'll be more. I'm confident there'll be more. Now, I don't have any insider information or anything, but I did come across something interesting that suggests to me Disney is already sorting out its properties and getting them ready for something, including the Alien franchise. I was ripping a clip for a video I was doing recently, and I needed something specifically from the 20th anniversary DVD release. Well, even though it's a 1999 DVD, copyright protection in the age of the internet is just increasingly advancing, because I got a notification, and I have it screenshotted here. I'll show you. It says, Disney X Project DRM encrypted DVD detected. Not Fox, Disney. I guess they're already starting copyright protection on their acquired properties. I'm not sure. I have no idea what it means. It could mean nothing, but again, if Disney just puts Alien on the shelf and does absolutely nothing with it, it would be crazy, just crazy. At the very least, they must be watermarking it for their streaming service, so I guess we'll see. But I think Disney will be smart enough to do something with the Alien franchise. There's a fan base out there, we're hungry for more, and there's a lot of different things they could do once they acquire the property. Many different routes they could take. Like, I don't know, they could produce a perfectly good script that's been lying around for years now. A script that received acclaim from the franchise's star, Sigourney Weaver, from Aliens director James Cameron. A script that fans are still having a high demand for and a high interest in. Do you want to see my inbox, Disney? Do you want to see all the comments I get almost every single day from people still saying they wish they made a certain script into a film? Just make the damn Blomkamp film, Disney. It's so easy. Just do it. Tag Media writes, do you think there's any chance David left Walter alive towards the end of Covenant? If there is a Covenant follow-up someday, would you want him to return? How do you think he will have evolved? Finally, do you think David was right? Was Walter in love with Daniels? If we do get a follow-up, it's possible we might see another Walter model, evolved in the sense that the model has new features and upgrades and whatnot, but specifically when it comes to the Walter as we know from Alien Covenant, I do think he's dead or offline. Whatever vernacular you want to use. David already left him for dead once, so he was bested by him one time, he wouldn't make the same mistake twice. I think he made pretty sure he got rid of him the second time. Maybe he locked him up, or disabled him somehow, just so he could, get away as soon as possible at the end of the film. So maybe there could be this whole story for Walter that they could expand upon. Maybe he was left there, maybe he was left marooned on the planet. Maybe he picks up where David left off with the experiments. Maybe he turns evil, maybe becomes a powerful enemy to David, finding some kind of antithesis to the Xenomorph, continuing the story of the feuding brothers. So, I don't know, there's a lot of ways they could do it, a lot of ways it could go, and a lot of maybes, but personally, I think David killed Walter. I think he's gone for good. As for being in love with Daniels, oh yes, definitely, and I think the Walter and Daniels relationship is one of the best aspects of Covenant. It's very intriguing, actually. For the final film, they did ultimately go for the more subtle approach. Maybe they just didn't want to juggle too many themes, but it's definitely there. But if you do look at some of the deleted scenes of the film, they left quite a bit of the two's relationship out. Scenes that suggested a little something more between them. The novelization, of course, also expands on it quite a bit, and also in Origins a little bit. Speaking of which, of course, adds a little bit to them. So that's an interesting topic, and something I would definitely want to explore in a video someday. Michael Shaun writes, when are you going to do another live stream? I don't have anything planned for the immediate future, but there is something I'm planning to do in January, so likely after that there'll be more going into the new year, because of course 2019, that's the 40th anniversary of Alien. That's a pretty big deal. There's not too many movies that, you know, people are still talking about 40 years on, so that's something worth talking about quite a bit, something worth acknowledging and worth celebrating, I think. So there will be some live streams, specifically in regards to the first film, the Alien 1979. I'm going to be giving it a shot and trying to make streams a semi-regular thing on the channel, so stay tuned for that. Oversight writes, do you think they'll ever make a 2010-style Alien vs. Predator game again? And would you want one? I personally would. I like playing the game as the Marines versus the Aliens. It made me feel like it was Aliens, and I was playing in it. And I also like playing as the Predator and stalking humans. I hope they do. I really, really hope they do. Like, to me, it is insane that the AVP license, strictly as a video game alone, it really should be on the same level as something like Halo or Call of Duty or other games like that have, you know, the big multiplayer battles, and they ruin friendships and cause many a controller to be thrown at the wall. Am I just looking at rose-colored glasses of the past, or did it kind of feel like back in the day, AVP, AVP2 for the PC, those were the multiplayer games, the best and unmatched online multiplayer experience. Those were such fun days. Something was just off about the 2010 game. Don't get me wrong, it was fun and I enjoyed it, but the online portion was just kind of a flash in the pan, unfortunately. As you described, Oversight, there is so much variety in the choice of species you can play as. You can play as the Marine, have all the familiar weapons from not just the movies, but generally kind of familiar stuff from first-person shooter games. You can play as the Predator, you have all the advanced weapons, and you have the cloaking. You can play as the Alien, walk on walls, headbite people, all in these death matches together in an online video game. Are you kidding me? That should be a home run. What happened? 8 years of dead silence. If you build it, they will come, I guess. We're counting on you, Cold Iron Studios. Don't let us down. If Aliens becomes relevant again as a video game, I think AVP should follow. But we'll have to wait and see what Cold Iron Studios is working on. It's still kind of mysterious right now, which, at least for me, at least for right now, I don't mind that. At least it kind of means that they're working on the game instead of working on the hype for the game. You know what I mean? Which is something that we went through with Aliens Colonial Marines, and, well, you know how that turned out. Yes, definitely, the photo was pixelated, and that is something that always kind of captures my attention when I watch the movie. It stands out in a way, though maybe because in 1986 that's what an advanced futuristic printout might have looked like. I'm not really too sure, but I agree that the company, they could have very easily lied about her death, and they could have done so for any number of reasons. And of course, we can consider those reasons now that we know quite a bit more about Amanda Ripley. Now, in the Alien universe, there is a story of Alien Isolation and Amanda Ripley's experiences on Sevastopol. And soon, maybe more of the story will be filled in with Alien's resistance, so we'll have to wait and see. So maybe it does kind of tie in together, but it could be very interesting if there's a big company cover-up somewhere in the plot. Thomas Preston writes, what attracted you to Alien? Sci-fi? Horror? Blend of both? Definitely both. I'm a huge fan of both genres, so for sure what attracted me to the series is what attracted a lot of people to it, and that's the fantastic blend of both that we get from Alien. And I've just always loved monsters. The Alien is one of the most iconic monsters of all time, so it's just so recognizable and embedded into our popular culture at this point that basically you don't even need to see an Alien movie to know about the Alien. Everyone was familiar with that design, you know? Along with the Frankenstein monster, or the mummy, or a zombie. It's there forever, and that's great, and deservingly so. Giger's creation, I think it's just, you know, it's a masterwork. It's an incredibly attractive element to the original film, and to the series as a whole, and as a fan, continuing to this series, I sincerely appreciate that, to this day, they're still trying to give us new monsters with these movies. I personally loved the Neomorph. I thought it stole the show from the Xenomorph, quite frankly, and I think it's good to counter the familiarity with something different. So, something we haven't seen before is a good thing. So the prequels with the goo and the engineers, trilobites, hammerpedes, deformed five-field monsters, and Deacon, now the Neomorph, we've gotten some cool new monsters, cool new horror, and I like that. I value that. Not to mention some very interesting philosophical ideas and concepts that all great science fiction strives for. I don't know, the science fiction and horror is definitely what attracted me to the series, and I personally don't have much ill to say of the prequels because that's what they delivered for me, and I enjoyed them. But their approach to horror was similar in both movies. It's grotesque and gruesome and shocking, but it's certainly not suspenseful in any way close to the original 1979 film, naturally. And what I've come to like about the series as a fan, it's that there is a variety with the type of horror that we get from each movie. Alien was the monster in the house, let's kill them one by one, increase the tension kind of approach to horror, and it works great. Aliens pumped up the action and made the horror relentlessly thrilling, almost exhaustingly so, in the best possible way, of course. Alien 3 created horror around despair and desperation, a very gothic film. And Resurrection was kind of like a geek show, a theater of the absurd. It was horror, but most people would probably say it leans more toward comedy horror, which I think is fair. But the point is, it's all different, and I like the variety. Again, I like the prequels. Each had this romantic gallows horror to it, which I liked, but I think it's time we get an Alien movie that's legitimately scary again. That's what I think is really missing, and at its absolute core, taking into account everything, from the Giger designs to the fantastic cast and production value and everything that made Alien a great movie, it works because it's scary. It became a hit movie, and now a series, because the movie was scary. People in 1979 saw it, it scared the shit out of them, everyone was talking about it, said, hey, you gotta see this movie, it's scary, right? And then, only then, the other types of praise follow for the film. But the fear is the attraction. It always has been. The very first film ever shown was a few seconds of a train speeding toward the screen. Audiences screamed, it scared them. They hadn't seen anything like that before. In 1979, nobody had seen anything like Alien ever before. Fear has always attracted audiences, and I think that's what we need from the next Alien film. Crucially, I think. Maddox89 writes, hey AT, here's my question. Now that we know the story of Alien Isolation will be continuing in comic book form, what would you have wanted to see in a proper video game sequel to the first game? Not just in terms of story, but in terms of gameplay mechanics too. Well, I would still hold out hope to see a proper video game sequel to Isolation. I know a lot of people weren't exactly thrilled that after all these years of waiting, the story of the game's hero, Amanda Ripley, is continuing, but not as a video game, as a comic. But I don't think that negates the possibility of getting a video game sequel. It's not like Alien Isolation was this niche fan favorite or anything like that. It was and still is a very popular game among gamers. Ideal for those Let's Play videos, to be sure. Who doesn't like to see people jump and scream and get scared, right? So it just transcended the fandom and it became something all of its own. So I would say a lot of people agree that it is one of the best survival horror games ever. So I really do hope for another. And of course, I have thought about it a lot. What I'd like to see, what I'd like to do in the game. What Isolation did so brilliantly to me was recreate the world of Alien and let you occupy it, and I wouldn't want another copy of that experience, you know, running around a ship or a space station. We've done that and it's been great, but I think the next logical step for the sequel is to give it an Aliens vibe. Have it set on a colony, not unlike Hadley's Hope, mostly within the colony, but maybe a little bit of open world stuff where you can go outdoors, go into different sections in the colonies, and of course, there should be a hive, and I'm talking a big, elaborate hive, one that really feels like it's a living, breathing thing. It's very labyrinth, and you can get lost and caught in it and killed at any corner. It would be really scary, I think, so I'd love something like that. And the thing is, all those things that I've just mentioned, we've seen those before in Alien games. We've seen the environments recreated in plenty of the shooters and stuff like that. But before Isolation, we also saw spaceships and stations recreated from the movies, but Isolation made it all feel very real and lived in and functional, something you can truly explore and feel like you're in the movie. So a Hadley's Hope-esque colony that you can explore, that would be great. It would be so great. I'd like to think the mechanics and gameplay would stay mostly the same, with the same kind of functions and controls. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And the challenge should remain in surviving with very little to defend yourself, and evading the threats, finding places to hide, things like that. Things that, of course, made Alien Isolation so memorable, hiding in the lockers, but they could up the game a little bit. Maybe they could have something like the tunnels and little secret places to get around, like how Newt did before the events of Aliens, something we only heard about, but seeing it and experiencing it, I think would make for a pretty good game. So it should have the Aliens environment and Aliens vibe to it, but definitely not a shooter or anything like that. Maybe in the last act of the game there could be, say, a pulse rifle that you get, but with very, very little ammo, with an oncoming horde of xenomorphs hidden in the ceiling as the red emergency light glows, and the motion tracker, it blips, and you have to remember short controlled bursts. So whenever I play an Aliens or AVP game, they always give you plenty of ammo, and you know, sometimes they limit it a little bit, making it more of a challenge. But imagine going through the whole story of the game and you get to this part and you feel just like the group in the operations center in Aliens. So you're completely on the edge of your seat, you're stressed out of your mind, a sweaty finger on the trigger, just waiting. Oh, that would be so good. And of course, I think there should be a final stage where you have to evade a big, bad, angry queen. It probably would have been too distracting in the first game. I talked about that a little bit previously on the channel. But I think the sequel, that would be the perfect time to introduce the queen, not unlike the movies. So generally, that's what I'd like to see. That's just me, just my opinion. But if you agree with me, the change.org petition will be in the description box below. I'm only kidding. But I hope someday, I really hope someday we get Alien Isolation 2. I really, really do. I haven't given up hope completely, so we'll see. Andrzej Zakowski writes, how did you, Alien Theory, become interested in the Alien franchise? Sorry for my English. Love you and your channel. Thank you for your love, and I love you right back, and no worries about the English. I'm sure my pronunciation of your name was just wrong in so many ways, so I'm sorry too, but let's forgive each other, and let's talk about the first time I saw an Alien movie. I was 5 or 6 years old, and Alien 3 was playing on cable, so I remember I watched Home Alone 2 at probably 7 or 8 p.m., whatever time it may have been, but I was taping it, as you did in that time. Back then, there was no internet piracy. You just recorded movies you wanted on the good old VCR, and the best tapes could fit like 4 movies, so you could build a respectable tape collection. But anyway, I watched Home Alone 2, went to bed, and after Home Alone 2, Alien 3 was on, and the VCR was still recording, so I had Home Alone 2 and Alien 3 on my tape, and I watched those 2 movies a lot. Alien 3 especially. I thought it was a really cool movie, and I'd never seen the Alien before. I thought it was an awesome design, and as I mentioned earlier, I was always interested in monsters, so I love the movie, and I love the Alien design, and of course this was the early 90s, and at that time, the Kenner toys, they were still in circulation, so I got a bunch of the Kenner toys. I had my Alien toys, my Alien 3 on tape. I started getting into the comics, so I was definitely into it at an early age. But I didn't see the rest of the movies until Alien Resurrection was on cable a few years later, for whatever reason. Maybe I had a phase where I just wasn't interested anymore, but I watched Alien Resurrection, and it got me curious to, once and for all, see the rest of the movies. So by then, I had some expendable income, so I was able to get legitimate tapes this time of the first 3 movies, the Alien trilogy. So finally, I saw Alien and Aliens for the first time, and from then on, I'd watch the movies over and over again on VHS, and then of course got them on DVD when the 20th anniversary came out, and then they had another DVD set in 2003 with all the special editions like Alien 3 the Assembly Cut, Alien the Director's Cut, Alien Special Edition, which was on the 1999 release. But That's another story. The Blu-rays I got, etc., etc. So basically, I've been following the series for quite a while, and really that all just kind of brings us here. So there's still always new stuff to explore in the world of Alien, and I think that's great. I mean, enough to make a YouTube channel about it, you know? I feel very passionate about it. It's been in my life so long, I can't remember anything else. And our final question for today's video is from Catherine Kruger. What do you think the barbed wire tattoo around Hudson's neck means? Is that a story worth exploring? Hashtag stay frosty, hashtag no bugs. Oorah. I think it might be a story worth exploring. It might be worth hearing about it, if not as a story, then maybe as an aside to a story about Hudson, but realistically, I think we all kind of already know, and I don't think we need an extended universe story to tell us. I think it's exactly what we would expect Hudson to do. Probably went out one night on leave, he got drunk, decided, hey, he's the ultimate badass. If he's the ultimate badass, he needs a badass tattoo. So he goes to a parlor, has to make his choice, and of course, you know, barbed wire, man, yeah, badass. So he probably had to choose that, and he probably whined the whole time that it hurt. So everyone probably teased him too. That's what it has to be. I can't think of any other explanation. But thank you for your question, and thank you everyone so much for your questions. I had a blast answering them, and I hope you enjoyed my kind of silly rambling answers to these questions, and I hope you enjoyed the Q&A, and if you did, stay tuned to the channel, follow the click bell thing, whatever you can do to get YouTube to show you what I put out, but I think I will do the Q&A posting and announcements on the community section of YouTube again. I think that turned out pretty good. And I really have to thank you guys again, so keep an eye out, and I'll post that and let you know the next time we do a Xenobucket Q&A. I'd also like to thank my patrons, all the members of the Hive on Patreon, the glorious Thriving Eggs, the Fighting Facehuggers, which, side note, would make a great name for WEYLAND YUTANI's football team. I'd like to thank the vicious, determined CHESTBURSTERS, the integral, the best of the best warriors, the Queen Lady Anne, overseeing operations WEYLAND YUTANI executive EmYarUk. You're the greatest, guys, and to give back in, albeit the smallest way possible, I do like to do the Patreon draws, give some cool stuff away. It's been a while since the last one, so I'm going to be tripling up. As I mentioned earlier, there's going to be 3 winners and 3 copies of Alien, The Cold Forge by Alex White, a great Alien novel, to give away. So without any further ado, let's do the Xenobucket draw. Here we are, the moment of truth. It's the Xenobucket draw. As I mentioned, we're going to be giving away 3 copies, 3 of Alien, The Cold Forge today. A fantastic novel in the extended universe. I never really did, like, a proper review of it, but really just one of the best Alien novels to come out in a really long time. Really challenging in that it does so with its own original characters, creates a suspenseful story, but has lots of stuff, lots of references and little call-outs to fans. So it's a great book. Definitely something I think every Alien fan should experience. So hopefully, if you win the draw, you haven't had a chance to read the novel or don't have a copy yourself and want to have that in your collection. And if not, like say, you know, you're collecting, you have quite a bit, and you win the draw, message me if you want to make different arrangements. I can send a different book, same general value, things like that. So, you know, whatever you want to do, basically. As for the draw goes, I know this video is going a little bit long, but one thing I just want to say, I'm so thankful for all the patrons. Needless to say, you guys are the best. And, you know, I understand that not everybody has like $1 million to give away. So, you know, let's say you're a patron for just a month. You know, you put in $1. That's fine. I appreciate that. And you're in the draw. Like, I don't, like, you know, get a notification saying, oh, you know, so-and-so stop being a patron. So, like, I don't, like, dig into the bucket and take out your name. You're there. So, basically, it's, you know, not a bad deal. You contribute $1, you're a patron. You're in there for at least one draw until pretty much I pull your name out and throw away the ball or something like that. So, all you have to do is keep watching these Xenobuckets as I do them. So, we have the 3 draws today. So, let's get right down to it. We're going to be doing the first draw for the winner of Alien, The Cold Forge. The first winner is Peter Bailey. Congratulations, Peter. You are our first winner today. Here's the second. Go here. Jamie Christopher is the second winner. Congratulations, Jamie Christopher. And our final Xenobucket draw winner for today is AverageSol. Congratulations. Give me a message. I'm sure I've written this and recorded this, but leave me a message in Patreon. I'll be able to get that to you, your prize. Congratulations, everyone who win Alien the Cold Forge. Thank you again to the patrons, and we'll see you next time. Congratulations to the winners. Please send me a message on Patreon with address information. I'll be sure to take care of the rest and get you your prize ASAP. Thank you all once again. Thanks for watching. Everybody, if you watched all the way through to the end, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed listening to my rambling. I'm working on some new videos, so those should be up soon. I'm putting together actually a video about Machiko Noguchi, which I'm pretty excited about. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple of days. That should be up soon. For more Alien stuff, you can follow me on social media. @alien_theory is my Twitter name. I'm usually on it pretty regularly, sharing alien-related stuff, if you like seeing that on your feed. You can also follow Alien Theory YT, all one word, on Facebook and Instagram. All kinds of stuff. Fan art, behind-the-scenes pictures, funny, silly stuff, so check all that out if you're interested. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.